Well, I know Joe's got some questions. I got one more question before we keep going on, kind of on this same topic here. So you've been at it 6 years.
Hmm.
You've built a pretty good academy, and you got a good following. You got some guys and girls that have won some big tournaments.
Yeah.
I think some world champions, right, and some PANS champions. I've
Masters, World, Pan. Yeah.
Masters, yeah, I've trained with some of them. Awesome. Some of them actually stop by our gym when they're in this
Yeah.
area. Uh,
Thank you for your hospitality too, man.
yeah, we love having them. So from that 6 years, real quick before we get to the next topic, do's and don'ts, man. Lessons learned. What have you done that you go, wow, I shouldn't have done that? And what have you done that you said, man, I need to do more of this. This works. What do you got in that area?
Well, a couple of things. Like one, first I'll give like just a little piece of advice. Man, when you start a gym, okay, you budget out, like everybody's going to budget out. You're going to think, oh man, this is how much it'll cost, so I've got this amount, ready, last me for a couple of years or whatever. Multiply that by 3 because stuff happens, man. Like things happen. The heater goes out. Things happen, dude. Now we're at this coronavirus, like things happen.
Yeah.
And man, money
Market changes.
market changes. Somebody decides they want to open up a school like right next to you. Like things happen, man. And you want to give yourself peace of mind because you're your biggest asset, right? And no matter how good we think we are at hiding the stress, we can't. Like people sense that. And if your people are plugged into you, which I hope they are, they're gonna sense that, man. So you wanna have as much security as possible. And like the best advice I'll give people, a couple of pieces of advice. The best advice I'll give people is find a couple of mentors. Find a couple of people who have gyms that you want, right? Like who have the culture you want, who have the results you want. Like you talked, John, and you alluded to our culture and you alluded to like results, like some competition results. And we're not a competition school, but competition has played a huge part in my jiu-jitsu journey. So I talk about it a lot. I like it. And I encourage people to compete. One of my guys or girls, because man, like men and women are equal, dude. Like, we have, man, and, sometimes you go to gyms or whatever, and, some people have different philosophies on that, man. I believe men and women are equal. And I love seeing our women thrive. I love seeing our men thrive. It's equal for me. But like if somebody loses a match, dude, if the worst thing that ever happens to you is that you lose at a jiu-jitsu tournament, you've had a pretty good life. That doesn't mean you don't want to win. Man, you want to go hard. You want to win. And I'll be upset that you didn't win, but I'm not upset at you. And then we'll go back. If you don't like the result, you go back, you train, you sign up for the next one, and let's go get it together. Do you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Man, jiu-jitsu is a tool, or tournaments are a tool to help you along your jiu-jitsu journey. If what you're focused on is winning a piece of fake gold, like that's the pinnacle, that's the mountaintop, man, good luck. Like jiu-jitsu is not going to be as fun for you as I think, it could be. But I would say get some mentors that you have a good relationship with. And I define a good relationship as that you guys can talk, right, regularly.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Was Creighton Martial Arts one of those like gyms that you were aiming towards, or did you have a gym in mind, or had you visited one in the past that like was kind of your mentor and what you wanted to model your gym after?
Well, it's funny. I was about to say, like, Paul Creighton was one of my mentors. Like, Paul and I, if you jump on our social media, it looks like we just go at each other. People think we don't like.
You're always making fun of his height.
Yeah, but he was absolutely one of my mentors. They have an absolutely great environment. They have people who do really well, in tournaments, international tournaments, local tournaments. Yes, so he was one of my mentors. We literally talked every day for the first 2.5, 3 years. And not because he needed to, right? He's been open for 15 years. He has a tremendously successful academy. And then there are others, like, I used to talk to David Jacobs a lot, Derek Cavani a lot, Dirty Gi Marketing. Those guys really, really helped me. But Paul, in terms of a gym that I wanted to model, right? He's 100%. and I'm not shy about that. I do, like, when people walk up to me and they say, "Hey, are you under Paul?" I'm like, dude, if you ask me that again, I'm going to punch you right in the tank. Not under Paul, right? But he's one of my best friends. He's my mentor. I was honored, actually, a couple of months ago to give his speech for his induction into the NFC Hall of Fame. And then they surprised me. They inducted me too. And I was totally surprised, man. But I was honored to do that because he's been my friend for so long, and he's my mentor. So
cool.
So I would say mentor, that'd be number one. And then two, man, it's not enough to just be good at jiu-jitsu, right? You have to invest in, and I was blessed that I came from a sales background, and 70% of what I did was doing presentations. And then I had the opportunity to teach at the Yamasaki Academy, to teach at Creighton MMA. So I had a long time to kind of work on my own teaching style, right? But like something that I was lacking, that a lot of people are lacking, is getting, in today's age, getting the social media, getting the SEO, getting that stuff right. And Derek Cavani's helped me a ton with that, with Dirty Gi Marketing. And I tell anybody who would ask, I'm like, hey man, you have to, whether it's Dirty Gi Marketing or it's somebody else, you have to have somebody who can help you with that part of it. Because when I was growing up, I'm a lot older than you guys. When I was growing up, man, you drive around, you look in the phone book, you look in the newspaper. Now people are jumping online or their phones, and you have to be able to connect with people in that way, or else, man, somebody else will. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Marketing and like creating a brand, I think, is like huge in jiu-jitsu,
100%.
You see with the athletes, you see with the schools, I think that's the game.
Yep. 100%. I agree. 100%.
So have you done anything that you look back and say, man, I shouldn't have done that?
Yeah. Yes, of course. I mean, they say smart people learn from their own mistakes. Wise people learn from others' mistakes. And having Paul as a mentor, I was able to avoid a lot of mistakes, but you still make some. And some aren't as much mistakes as there are. You learn how you want to run your gym, right? Like Jonathan, man, I know you're a family man. You got an incredible family. I've been, fortunate enough to meet your wife and your kids. And, I'm happy every time they hit like, or I get to hit like on your stuff. Man, it's awesome. But it's like, you have your family, you raise your family, and you learn stuff like, well, this is how my dad did, this is how my mom did, this is how I want to do it. And I don't have a family. I don't have a wife or kids or anything like that. I have my gym. And there were things that I did. So, for example, like now we're about 6 years in, and I've got 2 black belts, or 3 black belts. Well, 2 black belts that I've given, Darren Roberts and Kenneth Jung. And they both moved to me as brown belts, but like you'd never be able to tell. Like it's like they came up under me day one because there's such alignment. And then Derek Cavani is a black belt. I gave him his first and second degree, but he got his black belt from Alliance. But again, like the alignment is there. And I've been really fortunate in that people who have moved in, to whether they've been blue belts, purple belts, brown belts, a lot of them have said, you know what, man, I'm in alignment at a macro level with your philosophy. Do you know what I mean? Like with what you're trying to accomplish, right? And I think that's really important. But like, I think as a gym owner, and I watch a podcast with Jacqueline, and he talked about this. He talked about like alignment, like giving somebody their black belt. Man, I've got guys now who are about to get their brown belts who started with me as white belts. I'm not really giving anything away, about to get their brown belts, people coming up under me. And like the way we do stuff at Buckhead Jiu-Jitsu is just ingrained in them, in terms of philosophy. Like sometimes in the gym, they'll say stuff and I'm like, man, you're more me than me. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like their philosophy. Not that like I'm this jiu-jitsu thought leader or anything like that, but like if I come to your house and you're like, hey man, we don't wear shoes in my house. I'm like, okay, I have 2 choices. Either I take off my shoes or I'm not really going to be welcomed in your house. Do you know what I mean? Right? It's neither right nor wrong. It's just the way that it is there. And you could have a dozen different reasons for that. But you don't have to give them to me. It's your house. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? And that's the way I look at when I look at jiu-jitsu, especially today, when there's so many places that people can go. I feel like coaches, man, you communicate your philosophy from a macro level. I try to articulate and communicate why I feel the ways that I do. And it allows people to thrive in that environment, or it lets them know, hey, man, I don't really buy into that. I'd like to go someplace else. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to do it over again, I would probably be even more vocal, you know, in terms of what my philosophy is from a macro level, like what my expectations are in order for people to progress, what my expectations are in order for me to consider people leaders, you know, to look for them for leadership positions, things like that. Because, man, then people can make an informed choice as to if they want to be a part of it or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. What's really interesting about all this is I've only trained at, you know, your place a few times when I've been in Atlanta, and any chance I get when I'm down there. But Coach or Professor Joe and I, we've talked. I mean, we talk 5 times a day, you know, and so much of our conversations are about the philosophy of the academy, even more than the techniques or the day to day. Like, you know, are we gonna get a new mat? Are we gonna do, those things matter, but the philosophy of the academy is really what we talk about. I would say most of the time, right, Joe?
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest differentiator of gyms. You know, everybody can have like this equipment, that equipment, but look at have you seen Andrew Wilt's academy, the Pedigo guys?
Yeah.
Dude, they're training in a freaking, you know, there's like raccoons coming out of the thing, but everybody knows their culture. Like, you know what you're getting yourself into. Like, if I'm going to train there, I'm going to be drinking water all day long, be prepared to train. Like, you know, you're going to go hard. And just like Gracie Academy, like Hito and Gracie, like, you know what to expect from them. Like, your culture is like the biggest thing over facilities, over everything, you know?
Dude, 100%. And the cool thing, like what you just mentioned, you just talked about 2 totally different environments with respect, right? With respect. And like, I don't think you like, so people are like, oh man, jiu-jitsu can be so cultish or this or that. Dude, we have open doors. People can come in and train. My guys can go anywhere they want to train. Like, I think you can have team pride, right? Like, you guys obviously have pride in what you're building there, which is awesome. But you just talked about with respect a couple of, like, I watched that too. What I took from the Pedigo from their training, I loved how tight they were, right?
Yeah,
like
I thought that was really cool.
I love that, right? You know, like, we had one of our guys who compete against one of their guys a few times, and I think they were 2-2. My guy Joey Siako, he's a purple belt now, and he competed against Jacob, maybe Brooks is the last name. They competed. They went like they beat each other a couple of times, and it's like we'd see them, and then one of my other guys fought him, and you know, we'd be like, all right, man, we're going to go handle our business. But we watch that and we're like, oh man, very cool. You know, like, you can have team pride. They have team pride. It's like 2 lawyers. You advocate as hard as you can, and then you shake hands afterwards, and you respect what they're doing. And then, man, you go do you. Do you know what I mean? You know, you learn from what other people are doing, and then you come back home and you apply it. You know what I mean? I think you can have team pride, but be respectful, be friends, have relationships. Man, I think team pride only enhances the jiu-jitsu experience.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody shares that view, but I agree with you. I share that view as well, you know?
Yeah.